Adding new hardware when you're refinishing a piece of furniture is a fantastic way to change the look of your piece. Now, these bale style pulls are not my favorite. They just hang down. It just reminds me of like back in the 80s and 90s when everything was a swag valance over the windows. And I don't know, it's just a dated look to me. So I get all of this off of there and I'm not going to reuse these. And I'm trying to figure out what am I going to place there. So I'm trying out a couple of things. I do the pulls and then the knobs. I did several kinds of knobs, but I kind of landed on these. And so I'm trying to see if I can actually reuse some of the holes that are already there because, hey, if I don't have to fill in all the holes, wouldn't that be fantastic? So I went ahead and just screwed those into the existing holes just to see if that spacing is going to work. And I feel like it's just a little too wide. That doesn't quite look right. So I swap it around and I then put them in the inner holes, and that doesn't look right either. So, of course, the hole that I need is the one that goes right in the middle. And that means I've got to fill all these in and drill new holes. So my preferred method is typically Bondo. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can add wood dowels or use quick wood or wood filler. I like Bondo. It doesn't shrink. It cures quickly. It's usually, 15, 20 minutes. It's just an easy process. So that's typically what I use. There are some other great products out there. The Farmhouse Wood Pate works great too. I do like that as well. Okay, so with your Bondo, what you do is you just put a dollop of it out there. Now I have a lot of holes to fill. This is like almost 40 holes. I think it's 38 holes. And I am going to do this in batches because if I do it all at one time and just mix a whole bunch, by the time I get to the end, it's setting up and then I have to waste it. And I don't like that. So I'll just mix a couple batches. Okay, and I have a little spreader, and you'll notice that I am pushing it in there and then scraping it up, and I'm pushing it back in because I want to fill the entire depth of the hole, not just the very top surface. I want this to be a really strong repair. I also had a faux keyhole that was there, so I have to fill that in as well. So each drawer has 5 holes to fill in, 6 drawers, that's 30 right there, and then 8 more on the nightstands. Anyway, lots of holes. And then I will stop midway, mix some more Bondo, keep on going. Those are all done. So you can sand by hand. You can use an orbital. I'm using my Surf Prep. I've got 120 grit on here. And not only am I sanding the Bondo, but I'm sanding the entire face of the drawer so I can get it all done at one time. And now that I've got those all cleaned up, I'm just trying to figure out my hole placement. So the bale style pull holes go a little higher in the drawer because they've got to allow some room to center that pull once it's on there and that drop. So my holes are going to be a little lower than the original holes and most likely right in the middle. So I measured where I want it and I'm setting up my jig. And if you don't have a hardware jig, please get one and make sure life's so much easier. I'm going to be drilling 12 holes of the exact same thing, and I don't want to have to measure and mark every drawer. So I am going to measure and then check where I need to go, readjust if needed, verify everything. And once I get that set up, this is just put it on the drawer, drill a hole, and move on to the next. And I'll do all these. I'll just flip it over, do the other side. I do have to remeasure, reset it for the other 4 drawers because they're a different size for the nightstands. And then I do get asked about, do you push too much in the drawer and pushes all the way through? Yes, sometimes that happens. There's a little nub there, and I just take an old chisel, or you could use a putty knife, and that just pops right off. And there's nothing else you need to do, but that hole is full. So here's a look back at where we started, those old bale style pulls. And here's a look where we are now with the update. I think simplifying these and just doing the knobs was the right thing to do, and the new holes looks great. I hope that helps. Be sure to follow for more.